Well done. I suppose it wasn't as bad as the scoreboard looks like. I mean, you could easily put 15 behind them. It's pretty much a tries. Tries that should have been tries. So I suppose you're quite happy with the performance. I mean, you didn't get the bonus point, but nonetheless.
Yeah, so let me say, firstly, I must start by saying I'm apologising for all the booing on Owen Farrell. It's not who we're about. I don't understand why I think people have just jumped on the bandwagon, and in terms of all the negative media, whatever, which I don't understand. I said it in the week. He's an unbelievable rugby player. What he's achieved in England is phenomenal. As I said, I'm really disappointed because I wanted people to enjoy the fact you get to see him play at Loftus. You equate that to watching Tiger Woods play golf, or you equate that to watch Jordan play basketball. So firstly, let me say we apologise. It's not really who we are, and we will address that. But I am happy. I'm obviously very happy to beat a team like that. It's quite ironic. People say, "Oh, you should have put them away and given them 50 points." You don't become a team like Saracens, and you're 20 points up, and they just give you the bonus point, and they just give you a 50-point win. I just spoke to their coaches. Very happy the way we started, and obviously that created momentum for us. But I always knew it was going to go to the wire, and that's because they're such a championship team. So to say, Chris, I'll be honest, I think we learned a lot from that game too. The way they defended their trial, and at the end there, not to give us a bonus point, just shows about the quality of the group they have. So a lot of learnings for us as well. If you want to be the champions and you want to play at this level, you got to be even on your bad day, you got to be as ruthless as they were at the end.
And then just a second question, we got the impression that there was a bit of a gamble at the breakdown and scrum time. Are you happy with the
Yeah, it's one of those difficult ones. I thought we shouldn't have gone into certain breakdowns. We gave them some space outside, especially at the end when they had to go around us. So we're a little bit naive there, I think. We should have maybe just stayed out of the rucks and made them try and get around us with numbers on our feet. But that is something that we're going to have to learn as we get older and as we develop as a group. But I mean, when last did a team, get 3 disallowed tries against Saracens and score 3? I mean, I can't remember a team doing that, any team, So there's a lot of positives that we'll take out of that. Cheers, guys. Cheers, please.
Firstly, congratulations. Talking about home wins, I think the past match, how important are they in this competition? I mean, even Mark Bacall just said now that such wins, regardless of when you play, because of the only 4 games in the tournament, they become very important.
Well, I think Mark's 100% spot on. That's why he brought a team like he did, because you're going to try and win. You're going to try and win as many of these 4 games as you can. The old system, which I'm sure our public probably not aware of, used to play 6 games. One of them was against a team home and away on 1 week. In other words, Saturday to Saturday. Whereas now it's very different. It's 4 games. That's it. You've got to try and make the top 4 in order to play in the next round. If you don't, you go to Challenge Cup, and if you don't even get into the 5th place, you basically drop out into nothing. It's not just a win game. You've got to also try and get an away win. I saw today Exeter beat Toulon in the last minute, so it just shows you how valuable those results are.
Jake, obviously URC and the Investec Championship Cup, how do you juggle the squads? We see the Stormers for tomorrow chose a whole different side than people expected. There's a lot of rugby, it's 2 big competitions. What's your plans going forward? Now with the squad selection? Well,
let me say that I don't think we are where we can get to a stage where we can focus on 2 competitions, and that's no one's fault. It's just the way. Chatted to my board, chatted to my CEO. I just don't think we are with the depth of our squad, and I'm talking about from international point of view. There were 20 internationals for Saracens today played against us, 20. And I would think, I haven't checked, but probably 15 of them were involved in the World Cup 6 months or 3 months ago. Whether they played for Samoa, whether they played for... So again, just shows the caliber of squad you need. So we're not there yet. We're not there yet. And therefore we're going to have to box clever. We got ourselves a really good position in the URC, and we got a massive game against the Stormers in Cape Town, which we haven't beaten for 6 games in URC. But what it does do, it creates an opportunity for me to see the depth we have for this year and next year and the following year. That's where we are as a group. Without giving too much away, we're going to have to find the balance of making sure we prepare for big games in the URC, but also give ourselves a realistic chance of doing well or doing as well as we can in the Champions Cup.
Jake, sorry to go back to the disallowed tries. I just want to ask your opinion. Do you think, is it a concern, or do you think a lot of those moments were made out of nothing, so it's a positive in the sense of creating opportunities, just not quite?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you step into touch like Stedman does, then it's not a try, and I can't even remember how the others were disallowed. 2 forward passes, so yeah, I mean, it happens in rugby. It would be nice if Kirtley was behind. Sometimes you get that. It looked at times that it could have been level, but it's no one's fault. I mean, that's you've got to be clinical and finish that. So I'm not for one minute thinking, those were opportunities, and you're right. They came from some good rugby. I mean, one came out of our own 22 from running from a kickoff, and then went the whole length of the field and scored a try. So it would have been probably try of the season in the EPC or in round 1, but that's what happens.
Jake, what does a win of this nature sort of do to sort of galvanize the changing group at times?
Well, it means a lot. It means a massive amount, because this group we played tonight. They beat Connacht here, they beat the Sharks convincingly, they're now beating Saracens. I mean, like anything, when you're winning and there's confidence and people are enjoying their rugby, that has a domino effect. I've got no doubt that this will hold us in good stead for big games. I mean, it was interesting. I was chatting to Akka van der Merwe, and he's been at Sale, played lots against Saracens. Said he's never beaten them in a big game before. So it just shows you how powerful Saracens are. So even a guy like him that's had many chances to play against them hasn't beaten them. So you can imagine how massive that is for the other guys who probably didn't even have the same experiences that he had.
I mean, just looking at the try that Kevin scored, how important is it again to have those international players?
It's massive. It's massive. I mean, you see, I just said now, 20 internationals for Saracens, and we have 4 World Cup winners, and you just see the impact they've made. I mean, Caden was outstanding, Kirtley was outstanding, Marku, obviously he's playing as well as he can, and then Willie Leroux. I mean, it's unbelievable. Every time they kicked, he was in the right place, made the right decisions. He lost the ball once and twice in the tackle, but I mean, his understanding of, and I've said it many times, his understanding about how we want to play and what we want to do on the field. It's like having a coach there. I can see the way he talks to everybody, and it's massive for us.
How difficult does it become now to sustain this momentum? We talked about momentum, but momentum counting only really when you make it count results.
Yeah.
But now, as you just alluded to now.
Well, the answer to that is how difficult is it? I can tell you, I've been on the other side of the fence. It's more difficult trying to get them to turn the curve when you're going on a downward spiral. And we were there last year. So, I don't see it difficult at all. In fact, it becomes pleasant. Training becomes pleasant. The noise of training becomes more. And it's a wonderful place to be as a club. I read a wonderful article this week about the history of the European Cup and how great games between Munster and French teams have occurred, and how the French fans have followed their team. And the one thing we probably are not fortunate enough, and it's no one's fault, we haven't been part of that. So we don't remember the great games that were played in Toulouse or the great games that were played in Munster. And so this will be our memory. It'll be the first time we play against Saracens at Loftus, and to get a win against them, that's part of our start of our memories and our history. And I mean, it doesn't really get better than beating Saracens, who've been champions at home in the opening game. So there'll be a massive amount of positivity that we'll take out of this.
Just the greater perspective of this specific competition, I suppose the last bonus point means that you will have to get at least 1 point in each away game.
Yeah, all win.
Or
All win,
at
Chris.
least
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, all win, all three. And I mean, we also mustn't, it's tough, but I mean, we also got to believe that I mean, I don't want to underplay anybody, and I don't want to be disrespectful to any other team, So you're right, but I don't think we're going to go on the permutations of if we get a point there and we get a point there, then I'd rather go on the basis, let's prepare, play as well as we can, and at the end of this campaign, we judge whether or not we are good enough to be a top 16 team, whether we're a good enough team to play in the playoffs, or whether we're a good enough team, to get to the end of the competition. And I'm not naive, and I'm also a realist. I mean, Toulouse, Toulon, La Rochelle, Saracens, they're going to be there at the end. Leinster, they're going to be there at the end. And so it's a hell of a difficult ask for us in the second year of a competition to be expecting to be there at the back end of the comp. But we're going to give it up. We're going to give it our best shot.
Cool. Jan, you can go for it.
Thank you. Thanks, Jake. I think you already answered most of it, but I was going to ask you that first 15 minutes, I mean, that must say a lot about the team. I know you spoke about how they came back, but that first 15 minutes shows the potential that this team has, and I'm sure they've still got a bit of growing to do.
Exactly, yeah. And that's probably the best rugby we've played this whole year. I mean, that whole set, the way we defended, the way we turned the ball over, the way we attacked. I mean, against the quality defence as Saracens have had, it's got to create a nice positive vibe in your squad. So you're spot on. I mean, the way that sometimes a lot of coaches talk about starting well, and the way we started today was exactly what you want to do in big games.
Last one, Jan.
Also, your tight five, your tight forwards. I mean, you spoke about the number of internationals, but that Saracens pack, if you just look at those players, the experience they've got, and you got some youngsters there that are looking like they belong on a stage with those internationals.
Well, I mean, the average age of our squad's 26, and if you consider a guy like Aka, Willie, and I'm talking about the team that played today, Aka, Willie, Marcel, I mean, they push the average up. The tight five we had today, we got, in fact, our forward pack, you got Cameron, who's still under 21, Reinhard Ludwig still under 21, Kane Moody still under 21, and Jan Hendrik Wessels of the bench is still under 21. So it's a great place to be when you can expose those youngsters who would be playing under 21 rugby. And Jan, I'm old enough like you are. They wouldn't have played provincial rugby 15 years ago. They would be in the under 23 squad that would be touring in the development squads like the old days, and learning their trade in the under 23 competition. So for them to be exposed to this, I mean, Reinhard Ludwig was saying to me last week, Eben Etzebeth this week, Mario Toji. I mean, what a wonderful benchmark to see whether he can compete at this level. And he's showing, in 2 weeks that he's up to it.
Yeah. Final one from me. Any injuries that we didn't see or that we don't know of?
No. Very lucky that we got probably unscathed. I mean, obviously, often next morning you wake up and someone's got a bump and a bruise, but at this point in time, nothing that I've picked up. So I mean, that's always a pleasant thing when you win and you also don't have some guys sitting out next week.
Thanks very much, Jack.
Thank you.